Hey everybody, Carrie Cox here. I want to kind of talk about a broad version of just foods, what impact food can have on you, the amounts of foods you need to make an impact on you, and kind of talk about the supplementing world itself. Because I find by the time people come to me, they've been to doctors, they've done all these things on their own, they've implemented a lot of crappy supplements and tried to do it that way, and they just feel like there's really no hope. And I want you guys to understand the food aspect and how it plays into it, and also why a whole food supplement like Standard Process or one similar to that are going to make a bigger difference than something that you bought, again, Costco and Walmart. I know I kind of hit this the other day, but I kind of want to go through it again. So food in itself, most of the time when we're implementing food, we have to eat a high amount of that food to make a difference in how it impacts our body. So you got to get in the right form. The next factor is the amount. So I always say this with the vegetarian, vegan lifestyle. I'm like, to get the amount of calories somebody needs, you need to be eating so much food. So much food, because the calorie amount is very small and you're burning more most of the time than you are taking in. And people think that is a benefit, which can be to some degree. But when you're adding in a huge amount of plant-based foods, plants themselves have a lot of fundamental factors to them to keep you from getting the nutrients from them. You have to prepare them properly. You want organic so that you're not getting toxicity. And that's another factor I kind of want to get into in a second. But organic, the toxicity factor, because farmers are growing them in fields that they're spraying with Roundup, and that Roundup itself can get in your system and can get trapped there and cause so many issues of disease. But then you have the natural walls that are meant to keep you from digesting them. Majority of Americans out there, due to the standard American diet, eating out and the sugar and all the crap that you have had, is inhibited your gut, your small intestine, which is actually the gut. Most people, when they think gut, it's stomach, but it's not stomach, it's the actual small intestine. But that small intestine, the stomach is a factor, but the small intestine itself doesn't have the proper bacteria to break down your foods. The stomach isn't acidic enough to trigger the liver and the pancreas, the bile from the liver gallbladder area, to do all the opening and digesting that we need. That's a problem. So you need it to be working very efficiently for your digestion to happen, yet most of us spend a good chunk of our life destroying that. This is why adding in fermented foods, adding in things to support that gut health are so key to good health, so you can just get in the nutrients that you're taking in and eating. Oftentimes we think just because we chew up something and we swallow it that we're getting that into our diet. Not necessarily. There's a bioavailability, so meaning that nutrients being able to be opened up and absorbed in, that's your bioavailability, is very dependent on proper cooking, proper preparation. Even sometimes you're needing to soak, ferment. Also anymore with plants themselves, the waxing and the things that they spray on the plants to keep them so they'll stay good for you until you get them are inhibiting that digestion. The GMO seeds are combined with other bacterial factors that can then also cause you not to be able to digest them. Most of the things we do to keep the bugs and everything else from eating them are stopping us from digesting them. So you've got to have a lot of, so when somebody's telling you, oh, go eat Swiss chard, it has got so many minerals and vitamins and so much good for you. You going and just picking up some Swiss chard and chewing it up and swallowing it does not mean you're getting that nutrients. If you, one, with Swiss chard, a lot of the vitamins that you want to get out of it, the vitamin K and stuff like that, you need a fat with that to be able to absorb it. And then you need your liver working properly to get the bile. If you don't have a gallbladder, the fatty acids probably are not getting broken down in your body. Very small amount probably are getting broken down, which also means you're not getting minerals, which also means you're not driving things into tissue properly. There's so many functions that you have to have other cofactors with to be able to absorb that. But you can go and you can get those, but you have to find a way that you can absorb it. Then people will juice it. Okay, great. Well, now some of the plant-based factors that you need to slow down the sugar uptake of those plants is gone. So now you're getting an overload of sugar factors. So there's a lot that goes into how they're processed. And even these companies that put them in a supplement for you, how they're processing them. If they're using high heat and all these different factors, that's going to impact how the nutrients is preserved. And by the time it sits on a shelf and everything else, if they haven't taken that chance to make sure it's put together properly, the likelihood is there's very little left by the time you're getting it in supplement form. So quality of food makes a difference. Digestion has to be properly functioning. And to get the vitamins and minerals, there are certain aspects that you need to have. Your greens, you always need to have fermented, steamed, soaked to get the toxin factor rid of. Also, you want to open up that cellulose wall. Fermenting foods is an amazing way, getting good bacteria, pre-breaking it down, helping support that digestive system to do its thing. That's why even like fermented garlic, a lot of people struggle because most people's stomach are not acidic enough to get the aspects needed, the allicin factor and glycine that can come from it, all of that into the body because their stomach isn't acidic enough to do what it needs to break it down to get it into the system itself. So doing fermented foods is a great way of doing pretty much any food, especially if you're having digestive issues. But then you have meats. Let's go into that. Meats, you definitely want an animal that has lived a good life. Just with everything. In flowers, you want them to blossom. They have to have the right nutrients, be in the right thing, and they will thrive and you will reap the benefits. The same with animals. They need to be able to live in an environment that's good. And people supporting that industry that is doing that is how we make sure we all get that. But you want those things. You want to be able to buy locally, get it from a farmer, have it as fresh as possible. And then cooking. So many people are scared of parasites and everything else, which it is a true factor of things in there, but your stomach, again, should be acidic enough to kill bacteria and kill parasites. For someone who often gets food poisoning, you should really look into that because your stomach is more than likely not acidic enough. Anyway, your stomach is supposed to do that, but overcooking your amino acids is a problem because you need the essential amino acids. That's why we're eating it, because we need the essential to come in to combine and rebuild. This is how you make your skin. This is how you make your muscles. This is how you make everything in your body pretty much needs an amino acid with it. This is how you calm yourself down, how you go to sleep. There's a lot of activities that you need to have that in there. And if you don't have those things, because you burnt the bacon, you burnt the steak, you burnt the chicken because that is what makes you feel good about eating it. 8 of the essential amino acids, 6 of them are heat sensitive. So now you have an incomplete protein sitting in your bloodstream waiting for the rest, and you're congesting your bloodstream. So that is a factor. So foods need to be prepared properly so that we can absorb them. There is a lot of cofactors. If you are wanting to take your health into your own hands and change that, realize that just like when you were younger, to get to a disease state, it took a lifetime of eating crappy foods, right? And then that's why most disease factors that can come from diet don't tend to happen until we're later in life. And I feel like that's been escalated greatly in this last little while. I see people younger and younger with more issues, and I just think, but it's the quality of our foods. It's the chemicals that we're putting on everything. It's how people are lacking in understanding. When I was younger, going out to eat was like a rare thing. Now you see these kids and they're eating out every day, almost every meal. Nobody in the restaurants are putting into the effort of quality foods like you would be doing from cooking at home. Plus, you're not teaching your children and people around you that how to cook, how to pass down that information. That is important. So we're seeing that more and more. But it takes a lifetime of eating crap most of the time. Well, not anymore because of the chemical factors. I feel like it's escalated it. But it takes time. You're not going to eat a chemical glyphosate Roundup. You're not going to eat that off of a food and the next day you're going to have fibromyalgia, Lyme's disease, or any of these other chronic problems that people are clueless about as to where the source is coming from. It's going to be years down the road, and then you're not going to connect the dots because you assume that if you have something that's bad for you, that instantly it's going to make a negative impact. And there are some things that will give you a side effect, but they're not going to be strong enough most of the time. But that's the same thing with nourishment. It takes time to do that. And if you're doing it just with the foods, you have to do a high dose of the foods that are needed, prepared in the proper way, while also taking away the foods that have created the negative aspect to it. So this is why most people have a hard time, because you have to really convert your whole diet, your whole lifestyle, and that takes time. And most of us, we're in this instant society, we want it now. And I get it. I'm a person that is about pushing and wants all my results too. This is something even with my own patients, I want to be able to get them as quickly as I can. This is why I use the standard process supplements. If you're using a good quality whole food supplement, you're giving high doses of that nutrients with time so the body can build and create things on that are deficient in the body or help support the digestion to take in things better. So doing a quality whole food, but realize too that with a lot of these, that if you're going and getting a supplement that is a high dose of a synthetic factor that's not organic, that has not been done correctly, it is, I don't know, you don't have all the proper factors for the body to deal with it. It can create toxicity and it can create an imbalance of flow in the body. And that is an issue. It's important that you're paying attention to what you're putting in your body itself. Are you going to be able to get everything 100% clean, 100% organic, 100% perfect? No. But the effort needs to be to try to understand and implement where you can and understand where you can and learn. And I also would like to talk on the topic of, I'm hearing a lot lately, and I don't know why it's kind of popping up, but a lot of people are saying, if somebody's saying something, go out and check resources. I 100% agree. You should go out and research. But do realize that most studies anymore are paid by the big pharma or paid by companies that are making money off of that. And you need to look at a wide variety. You also need to have someone that can help you translate the information that understands it. And most of the things that are being taught, you have to go back to like the early 1900s to find where that whole shift happened and led us in that wrong direction. And that is important. So definitely get out and educate yourself, but don't just look at one source and go like to the CDC or wherever the case may be, government website, and expect that to have the whole aspect. Look and compare, do a wide variety of studying. This is something I learned from the get-go when I started working at the Whole Foods store that I was working at and doing the supplement factor. I was getting trained by a lot of these companies, and it was great, but they, everybody has a twist on what's important to them. So you have to make sure that you're fully encompassing all the different area. But back to what I was saying. Initially, I was starting with the whole nutrition. Yes, it can take time. Most foods, you're not going to just implement at once. But I find that most of the patients that I see are hitting a phase in life that they are toxic. They have an overactive immune system or an underactive immune system. And some of the things that they're doing can make great impacts. Small things can make a great impact in a positive or negative way. If your system's overactive because you have an autoimmune disease or any other kind of disease and your body is just fighting like crazy and you don't thoroughly understand what you're implementing, you can stir it up to create more problems versus helping it to do the proper function that you need it to do. And you need to have someone to help you understand those things. And oftentimes, I talked about this on a live that I did on my Facebook. If you don't follow me, go Roxy Gymrat Nutritionist on Facebook or Utah Foundational Nutrition or Foundational Nutrition on Instagram. But I did a live talking about how I often get people who come in and they're having a certain organ that's not functioning properly, and they've been through everything and nobody can find any resolve to what is going on and why it's happening. Because most of the time when you're going to doctor or specialist, even as a nutritionist, we can do this too, but we zone in on that thing. Well, just because this is what's causing you grief and problems right now does not mean that's the source of everything. So this organ can be impacted by that organ over there, that organ over there, foods that are coming in, toxicity that's saved in the tissue. There can be a wide variety of factors. So you need to have someone who will look at that one organ, but then back up and look at the fuller picture and be like, oh, there's a lot going on here. And that is why the whole body support is so necessary. So understand the quality of your foods. There's a lot of things anymore that there's a lot of toxicity out there. You can't completely avoid it. You can do things to support your body to be able to flush it, and you can limit it as much as possible. You should be able to go out and enjoy life and eat and have fun, but you can have good quality foods and still enjoy it. You can take the favorite meals that you have and just make them with better ingredients. You can take the foods that you love and find a healthy twist on it. And my kids, all of them, would probably say there are times that I go out and tweak a recipe and they're like, this is so disgusting. What did you do? I can tell a difference. And then there's other times that I go in and I tweak a recipe and they just love it. And I will tell you, with bacterial factors, as you're trying to get healthy, most of the things that your body wants are not necessarily going to be healthy. So there can be a transition even to growing into the more of the healthy things that are going to boost the good bacteria and clear out the bad. There is a factor to that. So get out there, do the best you can. If you have any questions, write a comment below, ask me any questions. You can go to my website, utahfoundationalnutrition.com, and send me information there if you want. You can send me an email. Go check out the website. I do blogs every week. I try to do these YouTubes every week. So if you have any questions, let me know. And I will talk to you all later.